If I could explain it, I wouldn't need faith. It's just something about when you walk in the place. I've seen you heal people, set captives free. With just one word, you delivered me. This is what happens when you're in the room. Miracles, signs, and wonders. I've seen it happen time after time. Miracles, signs, and wonders.
Hi there, this is Tameka Riley with Chasing God. And on this episode, I have a powerful testimony. I'm here with Emily, and she's going to share with us the time that she had a near-death experience, and there was a miraculous encounter that turned things around in her favor. Thank you for joining us, Emily. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm
I
excited to be here.
appreciate you coming on.
Of course.
Tell me about your experience. You were you had an encounter. You had gone to the hospital. It was during childbirth where this experience occurred.
Yeah, so when I was pregnant with my fourth child, she is a little
Mm-hmm.
girl, and I'd been through this already 3 times. I had everything figured out. I
Yeah.
knew the due date was like I was gonna pick my date. It was gonna be 10/15/15. I was like, such a cool day. I had my
Nice.
parents in town. I had everything according to plan.
Okay.
And so I went to the hospital.
Mhm.
I've been induced before, no big deal. They start to give me Pitocin and nothing. They increase the Pitocin and nothing. They finally got permission to double the Pitocin, the maximum amount. Nothing. My body was refusing to go into labor. They tried to break my water 3 different times, but because of the way the baby was positioned, they couldn't break my water. And so after 33 hours in the hospital, they said to me, you can either have a C-section or you can go home and you can wait until this baby's ready to come on her own.
Wow.
And I was so discouraged. I was like, I honestly was kind of frustrated with God. It was like, I was talking to God and I was like, you could let this baby just come. My parents are here to help me out. I thought he was just trying to teach me a lesson in patience. And I honestly, like a rebellious teenager, I'm like, I don't need that lesson. I got enough patience. Like, just bring this baby, okay? So I went home. Yeah, so I go home and 5 days later, my blood pressure started to spike. So they sent me back in for another induction.
So this
And
was
again,
5 days you were home.
5 days.
After having all of this Pitocin.
I was dilated to a 7.
Oh my goodness.
And my baby was refusing to come.
Ugh.
So I go home. 5 days later, I go back. And again, they give me the Pitocin, not working. They double the Pitocin, not working. All day. It's midnight. I've been there all day. And the doctor came and said, I think it's time for you to have a C-section.
Wow.
And I begged her. I said, please just wait just a little longer. And she said, okay, I'm going to wait until 2 o'clock in the morning. If you haven't progressed at all, we're doing a C-section at 2 o'clock in the morning. So she comes back at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I prayed so hard, like I've never prayed before. I did not want a C-section.
Yeah.
She comes back and I had made just enough progress that she was okay to keep going.
Okay.
So I was so excited. Finally, my body started to kick into labor. By 7:30 the next morning, I was finally dilated to a 10.
Wow.
And the doctor who had been seeing me all night, she leaves. A new doctor shows up just in time. I mean, so fast. I pushed once. The baby was out. And I had this moment of just bliss. It was like, oh, she's finally here. I had been in the hospital a total of 65 hours, and now she's finally here. And I had this moment of relief. But then it started to turn kind of chaotic.
Okay.
I noticed that people were starting to talk in a very stressed, hush, like kind of chaotic way. The doctor was barking orders around. He was reaching his inside of me all the way up into his elbow. And I thought, that's not normal. I've never experienced that.
Wow.
I look at my husband and he has this weird look on his face. It's like this like fake smile, like he's trying to smile to calm me down.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he's seeing what's happening. And what he sees is there's blood pouring out of my body, like just taking a picture, just pouring out.
Oh my goodness.
And as they're kind of just, I can tell something's not right. And I looked at the doctor and I said, is my life in danger? Is everything okay? And he said, I can't get you to stop bleeding. If I can't get the bleeding to stop, I'm going to take you back and do an emergency hysterectomy. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So something's not right.
Right.
He calls for the anesthesiologist. He asks for a speculum, then a weighted speculum. He's barking orders left and right. The room is flooding full of people. And I notice this nurse say to the doctor, hey, when are you going to make the call? And he's like, we got to go now. We got to go now. They start unplugging me. They start rushing me out of the room. And I had just enough time to look up at my husband. And he looked at me and we had just a few seconds to just say, I love you. And I wondered if that would ever be the last time I would be able to say I love you to my husband as I'm being swept away. Mm-hmm. And I looked up at the nurse and said, is my life in danger? And she very honestly looked at me and said, yes. But these doctors are going to do everything they can to save you. So we go down into the OR, and my OBGYN, who hadn't delivered my baby, but she had just barely gotten to the office at 8 a.m. She wasn't on call. She was just there to see patients, her regular patients. But she canceled those appointments. She came right up. And the last thing I remember, she put her hands on my face and she said, Emily, I am going to save your life.
Wow.
And then everything went dark.
So she wasn't even supposed to be there.
She hadn't been there all night. She had just gotten there.
Yeah.
And so I woke up a few hours later. The entire time I was out, my whole family thought I was maybe going to pass away. It was so chaotic. They were all praying that I would survive this horrible experience. I ended up losing 2 liters of blood. I had 4 transfusions.
Oh my God.
And I became very close to dying. But the miracle of this was, after it all happened, the doctor came to me and he said, you have no idea how lucky you are to be alive. Wow. He said, if you had gone into labor over the weekend or at night, only one doctor would have been here, and you were bleeding so fast that it was absolutely imperative that we had 2 doctors stitching, like closing all the arteries at the same time. In fact, they had worked so fast on me, they had to go back and do an x-ray to make sure they didn't leave any equipment inside of me because they had to stop the bleeding that fast.
Wow.
And so, my mom came and she was just in tears, and all the nurses said to her, your daughter just experienced a miracle. Because I look back on the 65 hours that I had been there, almost entirely on the weekend or at night, when there would have just been one doctor on hand. And I think about, like, my plan was, like, to go in and have this baby when I wanted to have the baby. It would have been over the weekend. And I think, I couldn't understand why God was making me wait. And now I look back and I realize he had a better plan for me. And if he had listened to my plan, I wouldn't be here today. God,
that is so powerful. His timing is always perfect, isn't it? Like
it is always perfect. We think we know better sometimes.
Yeah. We know nothing.
We know nothing.
So they had given you all
everything.
that Pitocin and sent you back home initially. Is that correct?
Yeah. And they had
you had like double
the Pitocin both times. No explanation. No medical explanation. My body had done this 3 other times, no problem. It's not that my body was resistant to Pitocin. I'd had Pitocin 3 other times and it had worked flawlessly. Yeah. There was no medical explanation for why it took 65 hours in the hospital before I finally went into labor. But it was the precise moment, right when those doctors switched. And they said that second doctor that had just come in was the best doctor in the practice. And my doctor was there. And it was just, I just look back and I think
Everything come
God
together. My
had a
God.
plan. It was so much better than mine.
That
So
is so powerful. How long were you out? Do you know? Did you have any kind of experiences while out or
I
anything
didn't
like that?
have any experiences while I was out, but I was out for a few hours.
Hours.
I was out for a few hours. I don't really remember much from that experience, but
Hmm.
I remember waking up and just thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm alive." I thought
Wow.
I was going to die. The last thought I had is I'm going to be leaving my babies behind and I don't know who's going to love them as much as I could love them. And it was just like,
Yeah.
I just remember praying that God would take care of them
Yeah.
and that they would be okay without me because I really thought I was going to die. So I was just
That's
so
so
grateful,
chilling. Oh
so
my
grateful to
God.
be alive.
And you know how many things would have had to work together in order for that moment to be what it was.
Yeah,
God definitely had his hands on you. He was with you. And it's so
for
powerful. It's such a
sure.
powerful testimony. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful thing. How's your daughter? Any complications? Everything's fine with her?
super. She's great, super healthy, happy, beautiful baby.
Oh,
It was
that's
funny. I didn't get to hold her for that whole first day, but when I finally got to hold her, it was just so wonderful. So,
oh, that's beautiful. Oh my God, that is chilling. Like it's so like oh my God. If one thing had gone wrong, one moment had been delayed, one thing, even being home 5 days with all of that, the double the amount of meds and nothing happening,
yeah.
that was something supernatural.
Yeah, if I think about the night before the doctor saying we need to have a C-section.
Mm,
If they would have done that, there would have been
yeah,
one doctor there. And
my
also she was
God.
a doctor. She had just joined the practice. None of the nurses even knew her. She was just straight out of residency. She was
Wow.
not ready for what I had. I had what's called placenta accreta. So my placenta had grown
Okay.
into my uterus.
I
And when
see.
they took out my placenta, it just ripped it apart
I
and it
see.
just started pouring blood. And so,
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Did they find the medical reason for the blood?
yeah,
I never heard of that before. My goodness, that's
yeah, it
scary.
just, my placenta just for some reason grew into my uterus. It was like they were connected. The doctor came and
Wow.
showed us afterwards. It was kind of gross, but
Oh my
we got a
goodness.
video of it.
Oh, really?
We look at it sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, wow. But you're here to live, you live to tell about it, and it's a beautiful thing, a powerful testimony. I'm so thankful
Yeah.
that you're telling us about it. What did you come away from that experience with? Anything that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah. I just came away with this appreciation for miracles.
Yeah.
And I think, as you know, we have our own podcast about miracles, which
Yes.
I came away from that thinking miracles are real. And
Mhm.
if I have experienced this miracle, how many other people have experienced miracles similar to this?
Yeah.
And as we've met so many people with so many incredible miracles, it's just over and over and over again, I just am reminded how good God is and how much
Amen.
He loves us and how
Yeah.
much He is just always looking out for us.
Amen. Amen. Tell us about your podcast and where people can find it.
Our podcast is called The Miracle Files.
Hmm.
It's kind of like a little bit like true crime. My sister and I both loved listening to true crime,
Uh-huh.
but we also would get like after we're done listening, we'd get kind of like creeped out and have this dark feeling. So we were just like, you know what? I would love to find something that's going to I have ADD, keep my
Oh.
attention like a true crime story, but
Uh-huh.
that's going to have a happy ending. So anyway, we looked for one. We couldn't find exactly what we're looking for. So we decided to make it ourselves, and it's called The Miracle Files. And we just tell people's crazy miracle stories. And you can find it
Awesome.
on any podcast platform. You can find it on YouTube. So anywhere you get podcasts.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your miracle. It's
Of
amazing. It's
course.
chilling. You almost get chills, at all the things that had to come together in order for that moment to be.
Yeah.
And just how
God is
fragile
good.
life is
It
and things
is.
that you don't
Yeah.
even know about because you went in just a pro, like, this is just a standard birth.
Yeah.
I've done this
I thought I had it all figured out. Turns
Yeah, and lo
out.
and behold, here was something that was, you were being kept from that you didn't even know that God was involved. You
Yeah.
were being kept from something that you didn't even realize.
Yep.
So God is just amazing. I'm just so
Yeah.
thankful.
And it's
He's
just a
amazing.
reminder that the hard things that we go through are often for
Hmm.
our benefit and we can't always see it in the moment. But we can look back and we can
Yes.
realize there was a reason I had to go through that. So,
Yeah, and be so thankful. It's
yeah.
amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
Thank you.
And best of luck with your podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And again, this is Chasing God. This is Tameka Riley. You can find me online at I am Tameka Riley on socials and online. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.